We're very happy to have representatives from 21 different counties with us today as we talk about the coalition and consider the possibilities for joining the coalition or serving on the steering team. So my name is Sue Reynolds. I am the president of the American Student Achievement Institute. And also with us today from our organization is Debbie Howell. Debbie is one of our strategic planning specialists, and she is assigned to the College Success Coalition. So her job is to help and support and mentor and just kind of be there for the steering team members who are working with the coalitions in their counties. I want to make sure that you all understand that our organization is facilitating this initiative on behalf of the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. So on behalf of Commissioner Lubbers and Jason Bierce, who is the Commission's Associate Commissioner, and also the Director of Learn More Indiana. So the College Success Coalition is a state initiative. It's sponsored by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education, and our organization, the American Student Achievement Institute, just facilitates the coalition on behalf of the state. So before I get into content, just a couple things. You probably are looking at a control panel. If you'd like to get that control panel out of the way, you can just click that little orange arrow that points to the right, and that will minimize your control panel. And then if you'd like to see the control panel again, just click that orange arrow again, and that'll bring the control panel up to the large size. I am going to keep everybody muted because we have a very large group here, and also because a lot of you are using voice over internet on your computers, and we tend to get a lot of background and feedback when people are doing that. So if you have a question, you can type that question in. Or you can simply raise your hand, and periodically I'll just check to see if anybody has any questions, and we'll make sure that we answer those questions as we go. Okay, very good. So, okay, so before we get started, one word we want to define is the word college. We are using that term very, very broadly to include all different types of post-secondary education. So today during this webinar, when you hear me say college, please think four-year college, two-year college, apprenticeship programs, career colleges, and job skill training in the military. So all different types of ways that students can continue their education after high school, and also that adult learners can continue their education. And I also want to emphasize that we're talking K-12, working to help students enter post-secondary ed, but we're also talking about adult learners. And if your county is typical, you probably have more adults in your community that are partial completers of post-secondary than you have high school graduates. So a lot of our counties are really starting to think about, okay, how do we enable our adult learners to get the post-secondary and complete post-secondary, as well as enabling our 12th graders to enter post-secondary and complete. Okay, so just a little bit of definitions there. And then I guess the first question that I would have if I were in your shoes is, why should I get involved in this? We know that your work in the coalition would be as a volunteer, and my guess is that you are all already probably stretched between jobs and family and maybe other things that you're volunteering in. So why is this one so important? Well, one of the reasons that you might want to get engaged in the coalition is because this is really about economic development. And we're looking at your community or your county's economy. If you are a CEO in your county and you're looking for a place to send your low-skill jobs, your low-skill, low-wage jobs, you're probably not going to keep those jobs in the United States. We know that in manufacturing, for example, in India, the average wage is 25 cents an hour, while in the United States, the average wage for manufacturing is $17.20 per hour. So most companies, a lot of companies, are deciding to send their manufacturing jobs to other countries just because it's so cost effective. So you might be thinking, well, okay, we'll let those low-skill jobs go to other countries, but let's keep the high-skill jobs in our county. Well, that's becoming a little bit problematic as well, because the high-skilled workforce are in other countries. If we look at the TIMSS ranking, TIMSS is a math and science assessment that's given in 56 countries every 4 years to 4th graders and 8th graders. And in math, the United States currently ranks 9th, and in science, the United States currently ranks 10th. So if I'm a CEO and I'm looking for a high-skilled workforce to send my to employ for my high-skilled jobs, I'm probably also thinking about sending those jobs to other countries because that's where the workforce is. And especially I know that in some of those countries, China, I not only have a high-skilled workforce, but I also have low-wage employees. So in thinking about then where are the jobs going to come from for your community, we're finding that a lot of communities are saying, okay, let's let those low-skilled jobs go, but let's really beef up our workforce so that we can keep those high-skilled jobs for our citizens in our communities. And they're really starting to pay attention to what's happening in grades K-12, and then how do we continue education after high school so that we have the workforce available locally to fill our jobs. So that's something to think about. Another thing that we often hear is, well, this will be all okay because in the United States we have the most creative workforce. And right now that's probably true. However, in other countries, their educational systems are really starting to pay attention to creativity because they want to be able to compete for jobs that require creativity. So again, while we have kind of the market on creativity right now, that's maybe not going to be the case in the future if we don't continue to pay attention to how we're teaching creativity. Anyway, so that's one thing to look at, and from our perspective, we think that this is a really good reason to get involved in the College Success Coalition, and it's one of the things that makes us and our organization interested in this initiative so much. Another reason that we think that this initiative might be of interest to your community is that it impacts your citizens' standard of living. We know that as one's level of education goes up, one's weekly income also goes up. The difference between the income over a life of work between a bachelor's degree and a high school graduate is about $1 million. So when we're talking to 12th graders or students, we talk about there being this $1 million difference between a high school diploma and a bachelor's degree, and same thing with your adult learners. I think a lot of adult learners are beginning to understand that if they have that additional education, they can move into more high-wage jobs. The other thing with standard of living is that the more education you have, the less likely you are to be unemployed. So when you're looking at the standard of living in your community, these are, two reasons why, again, we think this may be of interest to you and worth your time to get involved in. For some folks, their involvement in the coalition is kind of a social justice issue, and this is another reason why our organization is so heavily involved in this work. If we look at
Muted.
I'm sorry, I think I got muted for just a second there. Sorry about that. If we look at the level of enrollment by income level, we know that students from low-income families are much less likely to be enrolled in post-secondary college. And when we look at race, we also find that students of color are less likely to be enrolled in post-secondary. So these are issues that we think are important to look at. And again, if these are things that you care about, they might be your reason for getting involved in the coalition. Okay, and then finally, other things that post-secondary impacts is we know the research has shown that as your percentage of citizens in your community hold a college degree, as that percentage goes up, it impacts things like this. Four-year college grads smoke at less than half the national average, exercise twice as much, spend more time in education with their children, volunteer twice as often, and they vote at a rate that's higher. So these are all reasons that we think it is worth it for you to think about donating your time and your energy to this initiative. And so today we want to talk about what this initiative is, give you some details on that, and then talk about ways that you can get involved. Okay. So let's talk first of all about the Coalition's goals. This is a data-driven initiative, and specifically we're looking at within your county, within each of your high school catchment areas, increasing the percentage of students who enter college in the fall following their high school graduation. We think it's really important that we're looking at entering post-secondary in the fall following high school graduation. We know that students are much more likely to complete college if they start college right after high school before life starts getting in the way. And then the second data point is to increase the percentage of students who earn a post-secondary credential within 4 years of their high school graduation. So we take a data point 4 years after high school, and we look at within your county what percentage of the high school graduates have a 4-year degree, 2-year degree, apprenticeship certificate, some type of post-secondary credential. And then finally, we're looking at overall the percentage of citizens who have a post-secondary credential. So we pull that data from the Census Bureau. Okay, so those are the goals to impact those 3 data points. So here's our current engagement. Right now, we have 59 counties engaged in the coalition, and we're in the process of recruiting the last 33 counties. So that's why we're having this webinar. This is what we hope you'll get involved in, is working with us to begin coalitions in your counties. We have trained 472 steering team members. We're about to train another 250, and we hope that you'll be one of those if this interests you. And overall, this is where I think it becomes so cool. Right now we have 1,778 member organizations, and they have documented that they have implemented almost 3,000 college access, college completion activities across the state. So our vision or our dream in your county is that you have so many member organizations involved that no matter where kids are turning, no matter where your adult leaders or adult learners are turning, that there are people in front of them talking about post-secondary ed and helping them take the steps that they need to do to get to post-secondary. So it might be that, you know, there's a student at school, they're hearing it from their school counselor. Then they go to Boy Scouts and they're hearing this from their Boy Scout leader. Then they're going to church and the church youth group leader is talking about this. So, so it's really, we're looking for a grassroots initiative. We're talking about cultural change, and we know that one of the best ways to impact cultural change is not top-down, but it's from the grassroots. So by involving hundreds of organizations in your county as coalition members, we think you can really have an impact. It's pretty easy to be a coalition member. All you have to do is to promise to implement 1 college access activity a year and to help spread the word about the coalition. That's it. The activities can be as simple as if I'm a Boy Scout leader and I'm taking my Boy Scouts on a camp out and I happen to be driving past a college, to just take the bus on a drive through the college campus and talk about how cool it would be to live on campus with all your friends, and that, you know, it's just like continuing after 12th grade into the next grade level. So it can be something really simple like that, or it could be something incredibly complicated and time-consuming. That is totally up to the member organization. Okay, so just as an example, here's some of the things that other counties are doing right now. In Perry County, there's in the southern part of the state, there's a very active coalition. You're looking at a picture of a luncheon that was put on for the girls in the county to teach them about STEM careers. When they looked at their data, they discovered that they had a discrepancy in aspirations for girls in science and math careers. and so they wanted to do this activity. And this was an activity that several member organizations went together on. So it wasn't just one member organization, it was actually several organizations, including all the high schools in the county, that collectively put on this event. And this is just one of many events that their member organizations are putting on. In Hancock County, when they started looking at data and they discovered that they want students to have more knowledge about post-secondary opportunities, all different kinds of opportunities. And they also knew that they had not had a college fair in their county for the past 10 years. So collectively, the member organizations put on a what they call a college fair on steroids. It was not only a college fair, but they also had skill-building workshops and speakers come in as well. So it was really an event, not just a fair. In Wabash County, this I think is maybe one of the more ambitious projects that a coalition has taken on. In Wabash County, they started an initiative called the Wabash County Promise, and that was basically a promise to all kindergarten, first, second, and third graders that the collection of member organizations would create a college savings plan. So if you happen to grow up in Wabash County, just automatically you will have a college savings plan, and we know that students who have a college savings plan are 7 times more likely to get to post-secondary. So that was a pretty cool initiative, an ambitious initiative. Usually it's after a county has been involved for several years that they will think about having an initiative this big. But pretty cool. So these can be little tiny activities. It may be an organization. I talked to Blackford County this morning, and they are putting posters in all the storefronts about what post-secondary education institutions their employees have attended, be it IPAC or a business college or a four-year college or whatever, or community college. Just all kinds of things. In Lawrence County, they've been around since the beginning of the coalition, so they're going into year 4. And they're really talking in their county about sustaining their coalition, so they're working on fundraising, and they sponsored a College Spirit 5K to help out with that. They raised a couple $1,000s. So the results of these counties have been pretty good. As I mentioned, this is a database initiative. So in Benton County, for example, on that first data point, we're looking at college access. And you can see we've gone from 40%, 51, 52, 64, 65 is their goal in 2018. Middle row is college completion, and you can see some of the progress they've made there. And then the percentage of citizens having a bachelor degree. So that's Benton County. Lawrence County, same kind of thing, 40, 50, 61, 64. Perry County, 49, 57, 59, 65, their goal is 70. And I have to smile at Hancock County, 50, 52, 67, 71, and to be announced. The reason it's to be announced is because they exceeded their 2018 goal. So now they have to reset that goal to make it higher than 71%. So that was pretty cool. That's a success story. So let's look at the organizational structure. If you decide to get involved, we've been doing this work for about 20 years in terms of looking at systemic change, grassroots systemic change, and this is an organizational structure that really works well for us. We will ask your county to create a steering team, and then for the steering team to recruit member organizations. The role of the steering team is to be change managers, while the role of the member organizations is to be the decision makers and the activity implementers. So the steering team members are managing the change. The makeup of the steering team, we would like to be a representative from local government, somebody from economic development or the Chamber of Commerce, community foundation, high school, somebody from higher ed, youth serving organization like Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or Boys Club, 4-H, groups that serve youth, faith-based organization, and then a service club like Kiwanis or Rotary, Lions Club. Most of the service clubs have serving youth as part of their mission, so this is a really good fit for the service clubs in your community. The reason we are so insistent on this membership makeup for your steering team is that if you look at this group, some of these folks have the ability to impact policy. Some have the ability to bring resources to the table, like funding or materials. And then some have the ability to reach people. So your youth-serving organizations, the faith-based organizations, your schools, your service clubs, they can reach folks in your community. So that's why we like this membership up for the steering team, and it's worked really well for us. So in terms of your member organizations, those organizations can be just anyone any organization that's interested in college access and college completion, or who's interested in economic development or social justice, just lots of different organizations. So to give you an idea, here's the kinds of organizations that we've had join the coalition. In one county, Chicago Pizza in Hancock County joined. Paint stores, Boy Scout troops, community foundations, all kinds of businesses, all kinds of schools, just all kinds of group. I think I mentioned a paint store, grocery stores, and they've done all kinds of really cool activities, like the grocery store, and in their county they were worried about the kids submitting the financial aid application. So the grocery store wrote a message about the FAFSA application on all the grocery bags. For 2 weeks, when you went grocery shopping, you got a grocery bag that said something about the FAFSA on it. There's another energy company that on their bills, they just printed a message about college access on their bills. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. Okay, so here's the process. So once those member organizations are recruited, then we're going to have 3 conversations with them. So what we're trying to do is to create, first of all, dissatisfaction with the status quo, a vision for what's possible, knowledge of the next few steps. People believe in themselves as change makers, and then we're trying to increase that side of the equation while decreasing resistance, and we'll work with the steering team to help talk about that too. So in the process, the first thing we're doing is getting organized, and that's what we're doing right now. We want to talk to you about becoming a steering team member. So we're in this first step right now of organizing. Once your steering team is convened, then we'll talk with you about how to recruit member organizations, and we also give you just everything you need, talking points, sample brochures, PowerPoint presentations, anything that you could use to help you recruit member organizations we'll provide. So once those member organizations are together, then we're going to have 3 discussions locally. So your steering team will bring them together, and the first discussion will be about, okay, what's our dream for kids, and does it include post-secondary ed? What's our dream for adult learners? Does it include post-secondary ed? You'll define the dream, which is pie in the sky, you know, not based on reality. It's just a dream. If we had a magic wand, what would happen? And then we'll come back, look at current data, and say, okay, what's our goal? Where do we want to be in the year 2018, and where do we want to be in the year 2025? So we'll do vision and goals in the first discussion. You'll bring your steering team, you bring your member organizations in. Most counties will serve refreshments, and just everybody talks. The next discussion is to say, okay, if these are our goals, then what's getting in the way? And we will give you all kinds of data that that we'll collect and provide for you for your county, and it will tell you, like for your students between 3rd grade and 12th grade, what percentage of those students in each grade level are making choices that would either open the door to post-secondary or close the door to post-secondary. What percent turn their homework in, ask their teachers for help when they're confused, have visited a college campus, have talked to their parents about college, know where to find financial aid, believe that they can pay for college. Just there's all kinds of data points there that will look at to help you figure out where kids and adult learners are not making good choices or are making choices that would close the door to post-secondary, and then help you figure out, you know, where you want to spend your time and energy. So that's meeting 2. It's a meeting of looking at lots of data and then figuring out what's getting in the way in your county. Then at meeting 3, we say, okay, if these are the things that are getting in the way, if FAFSA completion is getting in the way, then what are we going to do about it? So what's the Boy Scout troop going to do about FAFSA completion? What's the grocery store going to do? What's the church youth group going to do? What is the school going to do? What's your manufacturing community going to do? What's the mayor's office going to do? So everybody's kind of focused on the same, fixing the issues. If you are familiar with Malcolm Baldrige, this is kind of a Baldrige model where we get all the arrows going in the same way, and then we implement initiatives to focus on that one point or a couple of points. Okay, so those are the 3 discussions that we'll have locally in the first year. And then in second year, whatever the plans are, whatever those activities are, we just simply do those activities. Okay, and then the last step in the first year is to start to work on sustaining. We want to make sure that if our organization ever goes away, or if the State Commission for Higher Ed ever pulls out of this initiative, which I don't think they ever will, but we want to make sure that this initiative is not dependent on anything that is outside of your county. So at this point, we'll help you develop a governance plan, develop an annual plan, which is basically kind of based on the whole strategic planning process that I just outlined, and then also create your first annual budget. So we're working on those things that enable an initiative to sustain long-term for many, many, many years. Okay, so in terms of the training, so that your steering team members know how to do this, we provide training, actually, hopefully forever. In our other initiatives, our training has gone on for more than 10 years. So we plan on being in this for the long haul. In the first year, we're training your steering team to delegate tasks, to understand the tasks, to facilitate these discussions at home, and then to come up with a strategic plan. There's 5 trainings. However, not all of the steering team members go to all 5 trainings. Some members only go to 2 trainings. Some will go to 3. Maybe some will go to 5, but that will be your choice. So in the trainings in the coming year will be regional. We're probably looking at, and this is still a little bit up in the air, we're probably looking at a north training site, a southeast training site, and a southwest training site. But we'll let you know that probably next week is when we'll make that decision for sure. Also in our training, when you submit work to us, like your goals or your activities or your root causes, your targeted concerns, we provide written feedback within 48 hours. We want to make sure that we're coaching and mentoring, and that we kind of view ourselves as a part of your team. So we want to be there with you. That's really important to us, and we want everything that we provide to be concrete and clearly understood, which is why we put it in writing anytime we're giving you feedback. We also provide on-call support. That's what Debbie does for this initiative. We know that you are volunteers, and you maybe set aside an hour to work on this or 30 minutes to work on this, and you can't spend 15 minutes trying to figure out what to do, or if you're confused by something. So we make sure that Debbie's available. You just pick up the phone, call her, and she's there when you need her. We're very, very committed for that, and we're kind of known for that in our initiatives, is the quality of our tech support. So you have that in year 1 while we're writing the strategic plan, the first strategic plan. Then in year 2, we're transitioning to activity implementation. The steering team's role kind of changes to a coaching role, where they're coaching their member organizations. We're providing training. It's 3 workshops, and for most of the steering team members, there's just 2 meetings to go to, 2 trainings to go to. And again, we're providing the written feedback and on-call support. Then in year 3, we're hoping that you're ready to do this without our help. We'll still be there for on-call support, and we'll still provide written feedback. We will meet with you once to look at new updated data, and also to give you any updates from the state. We like to make sure that we know where the train is going, and that all the steering teams that we're working with are there before the train arrives. And so we're making sure that at that one workshop each year, we're letting you know, okay, this is where the train's going, this is what we think is going to happen, so that you can get your coalition there before it happens, in terms of funding opportunities, or just all kinds of things. So that's the leadership development. And then we also provide lots of resources. Probably the biggest resource is the online change management system. This is a place, if you look at those tabs on the left, where you'll go in to enter your steering team members, your vision, your goals, your targeted concerns, their different activities, your budget. So we have like a template in place, a web-based template, and it's pretty cool in the things that it does. Also, all the student data is available to you here, as well as some community environmental data that you'll look at. So all that's here for you, and you can see on the right-hand part of this slide, there's a little note in red that says 3 member apps are ready to review. So this county not only sees this red flag here that they have 3 new members, but also one person on the steering team has gotten an email letting them know that these member apps are ready for review. So everything's kind of automated. It makes everything very simple. And after you enter something, there's just a button that you push that submits it to us and gives Debbie a flag that you would like us to look at your work and give you some feedback on it. Okay, so that's in a nutshell the online system. There's also a lot of material resources. The Learn More magazines, the Learn More website, Learn More campaigns, College Cost Estimator, the Student Survey. There's a Speakers Bureau. We already have speakers in all of your counties who are just waiting to be invited to give speeches on how to plan, pay, prepare for college. There's summits that we can sponsor in your communities that brings the commissioner to your county. And then there's an activity search tool that's pretty cool. For example, your public library could go into the search tool and say, show me what other public libraries across the state are doing to support this initiative. And right now there's 19 libraries in the state that are members that are doing things, and so they'd be able to see what those 19 libraries are doing. So some of these are very robust. They are also, some of these resources are available directly to your member organizations. So like in the spring, all of your member organizations will get an email that says, do you want to order some of these magazines? And so a doctor's office could say, yeah, give me 12 copies of all the magazines and I'll put them in my waiting room. Or a Boy Scout leader could say, yeah, give me copies of the magazines and I'll pass them out to my scouts. So, you know, there's just lots of resources not only for the steering team but also for your member organizations. And then there's some incentives. We would prefer that you not do this work for the incentives. We would like this work to be from the heart because you love kids and you love adult learners and you understand global economics. But we know that there's, you know, you're going to be investing your time in this and your energy, and so we'd like there to be some little perks along the way. So the first perk or incentive is some funding. As soon as your steering team is completed, there's just a couple little deliverables, very easy to do, like figure out who you want us to send the money to. And then you have $1,000 startup funds. And most counties will use that startup funding to cover any meeting expenses, refreshments that they're having at home, mileage to the training, that kind of thing. And then at the end of the strategic planning process, when you've set your goals and you've got your root causes identified and you've got your activities in place, at the end of that process, there's a $5,000 completion award. Counties are doing all kinds of things with that money. Some will do mini grants to their member organizations. Some are sponsoring county-wide initiatives. And some are using it as the beginning of a budget reserve, which is also a really good use for that funding. So again, just anything that would help this initiative grow in your county is a go for this funding. In year 2, we're working on implementation, and after your members have documented that they've implemented their activities, then the state will name your county as an Indiana College Success County. That's kind of a big deal in economic development. We're hearing from a lot of economic development folks that that's been very helpful in recruiting, in the recruiting of business and industry to your counties. So you can, you know, put that out that you are a College Success County and have been named that by the state. And then you also get this huge road sign to put up. We give you one free road sign. You can order others if you want. I think Vigo County just ordered 11 road signs, and I just talked to Blackford this morning, and they're looking at ordering 5 or 6 signs at the entrances for their county. So it's kind of a big deal. It's kind of fun. We give this award at the State House, and you know, you'll be there and you can invite guests. Last year we had all kinds of TV stations there filming, and legislators will come to watch your county get the award. It's kind of a cool thing. Okay, and then in the alumni year, as you start to sustain, then you can apply for a visit from the commissioner. So, and she is driving all over the state to go to very rural, small counties that normally somebody in her position, you know, wouldn't have the luxury of visiting. But she is so committed to this initiative. So she'll come out, and it's kind of just a discussion between her and the folks in your county, and she'll talk about what she's doing at the state level, and you'll talk about what you're doing at the county level. And it's just a nice day. She has a lot of pull. In one county, there were 5 university presidents that came to this event from 5 different institutions. That was pretty awesome. So mayors are coming out, legislators. I mean, it's just, these are big events, and it's been just a lot of fun to put those on. So those are incentives, and I guess then just a couple things about how to get involved, and then we'll see who has questions. To join the coalition, it's really simple. So one thing you may decide to do is, yeah, my Boy Scout troop can join, or, you know, I'll talk to our church pastor about joining, or my place of business about joining, or my school. So if you're interested in joining the coalition, remember the only commitment that you'd be making is to implement at least one college access activity each year. And you don't need to worry that you don't know what you would do, because part of this process is to help the member organizations think about what they could do to address those targeted concerns. So to join the coalition, you would just go to this website, www.learnmoreindiana.org/CSC, and then in the right-hand section, just click on your county's name. Every one of the 92 counties in Indiana has an active website right now. So even if your steering team isn't fully in place yet, you do already have a website, and we are, you know, holding the member applications for you until you have your steering team in place. So just click on the county's name, and then the county public page will open up, and then just click on the top button there that says Join Today, and that will be an application where you'll enter your contact information. We also ask you to enter any college access activities that you are currently doing. That's a little time-consuming, but it's how we're beginning to build the database for your county, so that when we're ready to look at activities, we'll be able to provide you a report that shows all of the college access activities that your member organizations are already doing. So also on this page, you'll see that there's buttons where the public can look at your organizational structure. Right now, since we've not begun in your counties with your steering teams and getting this kind of built, if you open up, for example, the coalition leadership, it's going to be a blank page, and member organizations will be blank because you haven't approved any of your members yet. But as you start to do your work, all of that will become populated, and the public will be able to see your work. The student data part is populated. We pull that data from a lot of different resources, so you are able to look at that if you're kind of interested in seeing that data. Okay, so that's how to join. Very simple. The application is a little time-consuming, though, because we want to capture all of your activities, of your member organizations' activities as they join. Okay, now, if you are thinking about joining the steering team, which is really the purpose of this webinar, is to somebody has recommended you as a potential steering team member. So you're either someone from the community foundation, or from economic development, or school, or a church, or a faith-based organization. You know, someone thought that you might be great on this steering team. Remember, we're delegating all of the tasks, so you will have a very manageable amount of work to do. We delegate the tasks 8 different ways. And that way no one person is overwhelmed. And we hear over and over from steering teams after they get this delegation in place that this is very, very manageable. So don't worry that you're going to get into a huge amount of work with this. So the tasks are, let me rattle those off really quickly. One is somebody who's in charge of recruiting member organizations. They don't have to do all the recruiting. They would delegate the recruiting to all of the other team members. And pretty much in the beginning, we just ask everybody to recruit your own organization and one other. If everybody recruits 2 organizations, that gives you your first 16. So it's really not a big job. Second one is somebody to make sure that the 3 member discussions happen in the first year. So they're just finding a meeting place, and if you're having refreshments, that kind of stuff. So that there's that job. Another one is somebody who's coaching the member organizations later on what kind of activities they might do. There's someone who's talking with the media, and that's a pretty light job. We'll provide all the press releases. We'll also give you advance copies when press releases are coming out from the state. And then there's a fiscal agent. So, and again, the fiscal agent is also pretty easy. We're not looking at starting an endowment. It's just pretty much a pass-through of funds. We've had a Rotary Club be the fiscal agent. We've had schools be the fiscal agent. We've had community foundations often volunteer to be the fiscal agents. So, that's lots of different organizations. So those are the 5 management types of jobs that we delegate out. And then the other jobs are liaisons to the state. So there's a liaison to 21st Century Scholars. There's a liaison to the Speakers Bureau. There's a liaison to the campaigns. So there's a liaison to the state counterpoint so that we can get good communications going between the state and your local initiatives. So again, we're delegating tasks. So if you would want to think about or talk about possibly serving on the steering team, what we would like you to do is to contact Debbie Howell, who is the strategic planning specialist on our staff assigned to this. And Debbie will get you hooked up with other people in your county who are also involved in setting up your steering team. And she can also answer any questions that you might have. In some counties, you may be the first person who said, yeah, I'm interested. And then she'll work with you to figure out, okay, who are the next 7 going to be? We might talk with you about you making some calls. You might talk to us about us making some calls on your behalf. So we really want to work together with you on getting the steering team convened. The first training for the steering team is going to be the first week in November, and again, next week we'll give you the exact dates and locations beginning of next week. But so we need to have teams in place by the end of the month. So, so that's kind of it, and we will archive this webinar so that if you find someone who's interested, you could just tell them, hey, go watch this webinar to learn more about it, and then let's talk. Or you might say, let's all, come over to my house for snacks before dinner, and let's watch this video together and talk about how we might get this started. Or let's go out for lunch and talk about this, or let's all meet at somebody's office at 9 in the morning, and let's just invite as many people as we can. We'll show this video and then talk about how to get going. Okay, so that's kind of it. Let's see, I'm going to look now, see if I have any hands up, see if I have any questions. Got some questions. Let me open up the question pane. Okay, how do we contact Debbie? There's her phone number and her email address. And again, unless Debbie is attending a webinar like this one or is out at one of our events with the CSC counties, she will be at the phone, ready to pick up that phone. We're really committed to that. So I think that's it. I'm not seeing any other questions. We will probably also follow up with you and just make sure that, that if you do have questions that we're answering them. And we're just really excited. As you can see, there are, there's lots of counties that are doing this very, very well. It's just, we love building grassroots movements, and that's really what this is. And another question that came in from Robin Durham, where can we get a copy of the PowerPoint? We will post this PowerPoint on the very front page of the CSC website. So, matter of fact, let me type that on here so that everybody can see that as well. Just get this on here. So this will be posted. That was a great question. At www.learnmoreindiana.org/CSC. and it will be right at the top of that. And just look for, we'll probably call it the Steering Team Info webinar. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions. Hands up. Okay, I have to tell you about this rule that we have to close with. We have a rule called that we think we're very, very serious about. We hold people to it, and we will hold you to it too. That is called the 5-minute rule. And what that rule is that if you are ever confused for more than 5 minutes, you are required to call Debbie. And we're very serious about that. It's always frustrating when we hear people say, "Oh, we didn't want to bother you, so we didn't call." Please, please bother us. Don't even wait 5 minutes. We'll change the rule. If you're confused about anything for 5 seconds, call Debbie. We really, want to be there. We know that you are volunteers. You all have full-time jobs doing something else, and you have families, and you're donating your time. So we're trying to make this as easy as we can for you. We view ourselves as part of your team. So please, please, please call Debbie. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you so much for participating in this webinar, and thank you so much for your interest in increasing college access and college success in your counties. And I know that you are all people who volunteer in your counties too, and I just think that's great. So thanks so much, and we hopefully will talk with you soon. Thank you.